Audit and Control Committee to order. I'm Vice Chairman Terry Niebel. I'll be filling in today for Chairman Pavlak, who had a conflict. All right, first of all, we'd like to approve last month's minutes. Could I have a motion to approve last month's minutes?
So moved again.
Yeah, a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here for privilege of the floor?
No.
Anybody privilege of the floor? Okay, not seeing anyone, we'll close privilege of the floor. Number one, resolution number 94-24, authorize use of Chautauqua County 2% occupancy tax reserve funds for removal of damaged steel dock structures from the Dunkirk Harbor. And this was referred back to the committee by the full legislature on March 27th. I believe we've had new development on this, and I'll ask either Chairman Chagnon or Mr. Wilfong to address this if they would.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can address this. Earlier this week, we met with the mayor of Dunkirk and their city attorney about this matter, and the city of Dunkirk is now absolutely firm that this expense is not the legal responsibility of the city of Dunkirk, and the city of Dunkirk will not be paying for any portion of this, regardless of whether we provide them legal or financial assistance. So the resolution, as stated, that partial reimbursement of the costs to the city and providing financial support to the city is inappropriate. So my recommendation is that the committee not approve this resolution.
Okay, Mr. Wilfong, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
No, and actually I agree with Mr. Chagnon. We had a meeting with the officials from the city of Dunkirk, and the mayor actually made it quite firm that she said that she was not going to pay. So this resolution is, I think, our best path to follow.
Okay. All right, with that, let's vote on this resolution. Those in favor of making the payment, say aye. Those opposed? Nay.
Hey.
Nay.
Nay. The resolution fails. Okay, number two, proposed resolution, authorized lease of airport parking lot at Chautauqua County Jamestown Airport.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tim Carr, Director of Public Facilities. This resolution is to renew the with the New York State DMV for the CDL road testing program, and we would like to renew that for 11 months, as the law department has advised us that way. And then after that, we will look back at it again in the summer to reevaluate as far as the public hearing and everything that we need to do to make it a longer term and move forward. And that payment is $1,250 a year.
Okay, committee, any questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you. All right, number three, proposed resolution authorize agreement with New York State DOT for performance of federal aid project, PIN number 5764.84.
This is a project for the replacement of the Kyntone Road County Bridge 994 over the Stillwater Creek. And this is 95% federally funded and 5% county funded, with our share being $18,750.
Okay. Committee, questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number four, proposed resolution, North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District Plant Capacity Study Grant, authorization and appropriation of local match.
Good morning, Matt Olbeck, Director, North Chautauqua Lake Sewer District.
Morning.
This resolution is to approve the local match of $10,000 or 20% of the engineering planning grant for the sewer plant capacity study, that grant we received. We do have money in the budget currently for this, so it just has to be moved from one account to another.
Okay, and Matt, it's a 20% local match or $10,000?
Yes.
Okay. Committee questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay, number 5, proposed resolution determining that it is in the public interest to make a third modification to the map and plan for the North Chautauqua County Water District. Pierre, are you filling in for Kathy on this one?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
You want me to come down front?
No, you can stay there.
Okay. The North County Water District is interested in pursuing additional changes to the district to extend lines further, and the greatest benefit to this is to increase the redundancy within the North County Water District, so that if a capacity problem develops in one area where there's greater demand, they are able to shift supply. Also, what they're proposing is to install water meters for each of the customers of the North County Water District, which will then give us the ability to clearly understand what the consumption is in each of the water districts, and then bill the water districts directly, rather than the current arrangement that the bill goes to CBI, and then CBI is responsible for collecting the money from the water districts and repaying the county. And as you're probably aware, that has created some shortfalls for the county in terms of collecting revenues, and that led to, was highlighted in the state controller's audit that they did of the water district. So this is one further step to address the concerns that were raised by the state controller. So I think that this is a very positive and progressive step by the North County Water District Board to address not only some opportunities to improve the water district, but also an opportunity to address concerns that were raised by the state controller.
Thanks, Pierre. Committee, any questions of Pierre on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We also have a late resolution that we were going to take up later, but as it pertains to the same thing here, the late resolution is to authorize the county to apply for grants and loans on behalf of the North Chautauqua County Water District in connection with a third amendment to the map and plan. Pierre, would you care to comment on this one?
Sure. So what this resolution does is that it enables the county to apply for grants and loans on behalf of the North County Water District to pay for the work that we just discussed in the previous resolution.
Okay, thank you. Committee questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, next, proposed resolution, amend 2024 budget for use of amended technology innovations in election resource grant award from the New York State Board of Elections. Thanks, Sam. Oh, and you are bringing back up.
I am. Good morning, Sam Zafuto, Deputy Director of Finance.
Okay.
Carrie Reinhardt, Board of Elections.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yep, good morning. This
Amanda Fox, Board of Elections.
You had one more person.
yeah,
Take that
yeah,
seat.
no, sorry, Amanda. No, good morning. This resolution, this was a grant that was approved last year that Board of Elections, due to a change in staff, did not get the materials ordered until January of this year. So this resolution is bringing the grant and the expense into the 2024 budget, and we'll be seeking reimbursement as we have received these items at this point.
Okay, Carrie or Amanda, would you like to add anything to that, or? Okay. Committee.
Nope. I mean, unless you guys want to know, I mean, we purchased new voting machines with that money, and also 4 on-demand printers for our ballots to use at election time, which will make the process a lot more smooth in some of those poll sites. So it's money well spent, in our opinion.
So you can print any ballot at any location?
No, we have a select few on-demand printers.
Okay,
Typically, they're used in the cities, so the city of Dunkirk and the city of Jamestown. It's not feasible to have them at every site,
Okay.
but if we can have them at some sites, then it makes the margin of error very small.
okay, thank you. Committee questions of Sam or Amanda or Carrie?
Just thank you for all to participate today.
Um,
You're welcome.
David, did you have anything?
No, I did not. Sounds good
Okay.
to me.
Folks, just one question, and we touched on it earlier. So this new technology will not allow us to compare signature verification like any of the mail-in ballots, the regular absentees, the permanent physicals, or the militaries with the registration form on file?
Correct. It will not.
Okay, all right. That's the only question I had. Okay, thanks, folks. All right, those in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks, guys. All right, next, number 7, proposed resolution for fiscal year 2021, cybersecurity grant program.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jen.
Jennifer Swan, Budget Director for Chautauqua County. Mr. D'Angelo was not able to attend the meeting this morning, so he asked somebody to sit in his absence, and
And that's you.
it is me. So this is a $50,000 grant from the Department of Homeland Security, and this is in support of the county's ongoing cybersecurity efforts. Its purpose, it will assist with the funding of our 2-factor authentication, internet filtering, and any related network security applications. There are no matching funds required for this grant. We do apply for it every year, but we don't always get it. The last time that we did get it was 2 years ago, so.
Committee questions of Jen on this one?
Hopefully not, that's all the information I have.
You're just filling in.
That's right.
Okay.
I'll do my
If
best.
not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, number 8, proposed resolution, distribution of mortgage taxes.
Kitty's coming up.
Kitty, you're filling in for Kim, I take it.
We're interchangeable as far as this resolution goes.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is our biannual resolution to distribute the mortgage taxes that are collected, so it's just
It's
fairly
pre-
routine.
It's pretty much self-explanatory.
Mhm.
Okay, folks, questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, next we have number 9, proposed resolution, reallocating salary grade for licensed practical nurse 2, county jail, registered professional nurse 2, county jail, registered nurse supervisor 1, county jail, and registered nurse supervisor 4, public health.
Good morning, Mike Falk, Chief Medical Officer for Chautauqua County.
Thanks, Doug.
So first, identifying the problem. The demand for nurses nationally is high, in large part due to a national nurse shortage. One nursing program within the county is at particular risk of collapse, and that is our jail medical program, in large part due to retention and recruitment. I misspoke the last couple committee meetings where I stated we had 2 RNs leave within the last year. That number is actually 3 RNs that have left in the last year, 2 of which left to the state prison due to a much higher pay rate. We have 1 RN we really only have 1 RN that's been there more than a year. So clear problem with retention and recruitment for an important mandated service. It's challenging work, a lot of patients, and we're really talking about almost an inpatient care level within the county jail. Patients coming out of the hospital with significant injuries, significant medical problems, a lot of comorbidities. The drug epidemic is fueling a lot of this, significant wounds to take care of, not to mention withdrawal and taking care of their medication-assisted treatment needs for opioid use disorder and alcohol use disorder. We have received national accreditation this past year, which has elevated the standard and is holding us accountable to providing the best care that we can within our county jail for the incarcerated individuals. And we would like to be able to maintain that accreditation, but it takes a solid team and a stable team. Almost 10,000 visits within our county jail across all of our nurses, physicians, dental care. Point is, very busy. The pay disparity is real when we look at what our county pays our nurses. Recognizing that all of our nurses across the county are challenged with this pay disparity. We've identified right now the most urgent issue with this program at the county jail and have worked closely with HR to come up with a strategy that we're proposing today to address this wage disparity, which we hope the goal will be to build a stable team. In your packets, there are individual entities. This is Cattaraugus County first, followed by some of the couple of nursing homes and hospitals. I won't belabor this due to the longer agenda today. Please interrupt at any time, but I'll sum it up here in just a moment. Obvious pay disparity between our regional entities, hospitals, nursing homes, and state prison, as well as Cattaraugus County Jail, significant pay disparity. Again, we lost 2 nurses to the state prison in large part due to a significant wage difference. We also included Erie County data as well. So when we average this out from just a regional perspective, for our LPNs, there's a several dollar an hour difference, which, accumulated across the year results in a pretty significant pay difference. RPN2 is an associate level nurse, $28.71 starting wage in Chautauqua County compared to $33.99 regionally. RNS1 is a bachelor level nursing position, supervisor level, $30.76 versus $41.77 regionally. What we are proposing is to, for our LPN Nurse 2 right now, so all of the nurses, our goal is to transition them from, if they're not already in a county jail nurse parenthetical, to transition our nurses to that. Several of our nurses are public health nurses. That was from that the transition back several years ago when the health department took over the staffing. We would like to be able to reclassify our LPNs to an LPN2 county jail, which functionally would increase them from a grade 12 to a 16. The LPN2 is currently a grade 14, but our current LPNs would go from grade 12 to a 16. The title of Registered Professional Nurse 2 County Jail, an increase to grade 23 from 19. Registered Nurse Supervisor County Jail allocated to salary grade 24, reallocated to salary grade 26. Registered Nurse 4 Public Health currently allocated to grade 27 to grade 31. The Registered Nurse Supervisor 4 is the individual with general oversight over the whole nursing program, who handles contracts, was in large part responsible for all of the policies and protocols for national accreditation. A lot of work there. So what does this all mean? We're looking at, for the LPN, really trying to be fiscally responsible and at least close the gap and get these nurses to a pay that is competitive with the region. We cannot allow our jail nursing program to collapse. This is a high-risk program for the county. We need medical staff. We cannot function appropriately without them. And so what we are proposing is these grade increases, and you can see here for those grades a modest bump in their hourly wage, which brings them closer, if not to at least, to be competitive with the regional entities. A minimum budget impact for 2024 of $25,930.73. For 2025, $53,417.30. I have worked with our finance folks, Diana Songer. We reviewed the budget to date so far. Even with these changes for 2024, we're looking at a projection of $20,000 under budget for 2024 with these changes. That's really the bottom line. So I would be happy to entertain questions.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Doc. And thank you for this comparison. Very, very helpful. Okay, Bob or Dave, questions of Mike on this?
Not on my end.
Good. I do have
Sure.
just one. Well, look, Doc, I'm going to vote for this because I think it's needed. But I am concerned about some of these increases. Some of these are 4 and 5 grades.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a lot. Okay, that's more than we're used to seeing. So what I might suggest is that going forward in the future, maybe we have a more periodic review of these positions so that maybe they can go up 2 or 3 positions at a time, or 2 or 3 grades at a time, rather than 4 or 5. Okay, that's my thought. And also, these costs partially offset by state or federal funding
There's no funding.
for these. This is all local
Right,
share.
all local
Okay.
share, yeah.
Okay, just wondered.
Unfortunately, we do have some minimal funding for our MAT program, but it's very small amount.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thanks. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, now that I heard you speak, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Terry, I agree with you. It'd be nicer if it went up a little slower, but I think the correction is going to be the most impactful financially, but I think it has to be made. And so that I am voting in favor of this because the need is there and the need is now. And I think it's our job to keep that jail staffed with nurses, so.
Thanks, Bob.
And then one thing too, that Dr. Falk is speaking, I'm sure he chose his words very well, but he's talking about the collapse. He's not talking about a bump or union negotiations or something like that. And usually Dr. Falk comes here and he's a pretty straight shooter. When he's talking about the collapse, that word itself, I think, brings caution to us. And I appreciate that. And I'll be voting in favor of it myself.
And again, I think all nurses across the county are challenged with this pay disparity. But we had to identify the program most at risk to start with now, and that was the jail medical. So that is the highest risk in regards to retention of staff and recruitment, so.
No, I think you're right, Doc. We need to retain these people, and if these changes will do it, I'm in favor of it too. Okay, committee, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Doc. Okay, number 10, proposed resolution setting salary for grant coordinator. You guys are here for a couple.
Yes, we are, yes.
There's position in OFAS as well as mental health.
So
Trish
two
McLennan.
resolutions, I think, right in a row.
Yes,
Yeah.
for
you're
both
absolutely right,
areas.
10 and 11.
Okay.
Trish McLennan, Deputy Director with Mental Hygiene.
Thanks, Trish.
And Mary Ann Spanos, Director of Office for Aging Services.
Thanks, Mary.
Sure.
Go ahead, guys.
You want to start?
Sure. So back last year when Finance consolidated their department and took a very careful look with all the department heads as to what the needs were, which positions were going to be consolidated. At the same time, each department head had a responsibility to look within their department to see what other duties were being done, what was not being taken care of, what needed to be moved over to finance, what needed to stay with the department. Our departments were two of those departments that looked at this, and we recognized that due to some of our needs, both with grants and required state funding and required federal funding, there still were a lot of items, still a lot of tasks, still a lot of responsibility that needed to be accomplished. Both of our departments, and we can speak separately to this and answer any kind of questions, but both of our departments were very different sizes, so as we're looking at it, our needs were different, but the bottom concept was that we both very clearly operate under a lot of state requirements. For mental hygiene, we have about 30 different categories, 30 to 40 different categories of funding that come through the New York State Office of Mental Health and New York State Office of Addiction Services and Supports. And we are responsible for ensuring that that funding gets to the right spot, whether it be within our departments, whether it be within other county agencies, and make sure that our quarterly reporting is done, make sure that the requirements are met, make sure that the agencies are met with. In addition to that, we have 12 specific agencies within our county that we do flow-through funding for. For that, we're responsible for the CFRs. We're responsible for making sure that that funding is used accurately, correctly, legally. And we also, in addition to that, do, as this committee is aware of, we do frequently have grants. We've had a Tapestry grant since I want to say it was since around 2008, I believe, something like that. We've had grants and we continue to have grant support. These positions and the ones for mental hygiene is not just for the grant, that is one piece of it, but it is for the ongoing, every year, not to end funding that comes through OASIS and OMH. So one position was for a grant coordinator and one was for a senior grant coordinator. The senior grant coordinator would be the position for mental hygiene due to our size, due to the volume of the budget, the volume of the reporting, and the needs for that. So that was ours. And then, do you want to speak to yours?
So as Trish said, I think, this title, it says grant coordinator, but again, for me, it's more of a funding coordinator. With most of my 5 $5.7 million is state and federal Older Americans Act, all of these different funding streams. Probably not quite 30, but you know, we have lots of pots of money. Everyone has different stipulations and different grant deliverables. And we have to match up the clients who make sure the clients who are put in those grant funds or who are given services through those grant funds are meet the grant requirements. And so there's a lot of moving pieces and parts. In addition, the State Office for Aging does have in statute that whoever is managing those funds is within the Office for the Aging. So these are tasks because they have their whole, like we do county budget, I have to do a deeper dive for the state in their state system. We put together a plan. It delineates every single funding stream, how much is used for personnel, how much goes to contractors, how much. So every time this, you know, we plan for something, but if it doesn't quite pan out, like because of the home care shortage, we have to go in and mod that to their standard. So there's a lot of pieces and parts that I, as the director, could not, you know, I don't have anybody else. So I actually retained a fiscal supervisor, a accounting supervisor, you know, based on conversations that Kitty had with the state and their needs, their statute requirements. So I still have that position, but we didn't want this to really conflict with the whole reorg. So retitling this just made sense to have it clear on what this person is doing and that it's not county fiscal duties.
So those positions are budgeted, we're budgeted. It's not, we're not adding additional positions. We're changing how the positions are being used. So we still will have, under mental hygiene, I'll still have the same number of FTEs under mental hygiene. And I think that's a critical point that I think can get, and we're not requesting two each, we're requesting grant coordinator and senior grant coordinator. And I think
Correct.
that's had some confusion for folks as they've heard about this.
And I think your shop is even more complicated because of all the funds that you bill to
Yes.
Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You know,
bill
I
them.
do some Medicaid things, but I don't initiate those. That's a lot more complicated process when you're like a doctor's office and you're initiating billing based on CPT codes and things like that.
So this also helps with those two clinics.
Okay. Trish and Mary Ann, just to be clear, though, if we create these positions, it affects not just you folks, because that's a position that could be filled county-wide. District attorney or probation, somebody else could fill a grant coordinator position, providing they put it in their budget. It's not just you folks.
That HR is nodding their head, yes, yeah, that's why we
Okay.
create, you
Okay.
know, we're creating it for this purpose, but yeah,
But
there might be a
there's
need.
bigger implications. It does apply to the rest of the county departments.
They would have to come in front of you, though, and, or somehow
Understood,
get that.
understood, but the positions would be created,
That's,
Yeah.
and they could fill them via their budgets.
that's correct.
Okay. Okay, anything else, folks, to add to that?
I
or-
got something to say, Terry.
Sure.
Yeah, Bob,
At
go
the
ahead.
last presentation, what I took away from it is a lot of the departments, grants and the oversight of the grants is not always a day-to-day part of what they do. For these folks, it's part of what they do. I mean, it's a daily function all the time. So I think separating somebody out to just handle that would be a real benefit to both of these departments. So-
And you hit the nail on the head, because we put together a budget and plan on spending these service dollars a certain way. And we need like almost constant, where are we in the spending, to give direction to the staff, to maybe move. We can't wait till the end of the funding year because something's sunset. So it's very important to keep on top of where the spending is. We might plan it a certain way, but then we have to know when to pivot. And without somebody watching that, it's very difficult.
And it's able to get the work done without adding another employee.
Yes.
Correct. I mean, it's critical that we do this responsibly. I mean, I guess that, to me, is the piece that's very important to me, is that we need to, we have a lot of responsibility for a lot of dollars that come in. That's each county LGU's responsibility. In our county, I feel strongly that we need to make sure we are watching that money, that we're using it responsibly, and that at any given moment, if Office of Mental Health, Department of Health, or OASIS asks for it, that we could provide an immediate audit and have no questions and not have to come before you explaining how we spent money. That you can ensure. That's part of this position. We do a lot of questioning among ourselves over there to make sure it's spent the right way for the right people.
And then both positions you said are in your budget?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, committee, anything else? Okay, so folks, right now you have people in your departments, or
I do.
Mary Ann, you do? Okay, that does do grant work. Okay, and you do too, Trish?
Yes, I do.
So these people, and I know you can't make any predictions, but there's a possibility that these people will be elevated that are already currently doing this grant work to these new positions.
Yes, they would have, it'd be posted and they would
Slightly,
apply for
yeah.
it. Yes.
There's a possibility.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. Those in favor of setting the salary for the grant coordinator? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add, Trish, to that senior grant coordinator?
No, just the difference is really the size of the program, so therefore the
Okay.
responsibilities are
And
elevated.
therefore the
Yes.
disparity in the
That's-
grade.
Exactly it.
Okay. Committee questions on setting the salary for the senior grant coordinator? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks,
Thank you
folks.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, number 12, proposed resolution, emergency services 2024 budget adjustments.
Noel Gutman, Director of Emergency Services. Have a budget neutral request to transfer some money from the .4 to .2 accounts to cover some additional maintenance, training, and supplies for that project, the CRD project, which was the cell tower on wheels.
Okay, no, not so much the message boards, just mainly
Yeah, the CRD, which is the cell tower device we bought.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, committee questions on this one? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Al. Okay, number 13, proposed resolution, authorize acceptance of New York State Indigent Legal Services second statewide expansion of the Harrell Herring Grant for the period April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2027. No Ned today?
Not yet.
Okay, we'll make this fast.
Good morning, Chairman. Derek Gregory, Assistant Public Defender, appearing on behalf of the Public Defender's Office, and Ned Barone. Present with me is Candace Peterson, our Data Officer and Grant Specialist, and Heather Abley, the other member of our team, is back at the office. We're before you this morning to consider a resolution to adopt the second statewide expansion of the Harrell Herring Grant for $15,989,474.61. As indicated in the title, this is the second statewide expansion of the Harrell Herring Grant. We previously had a 5-year grant, which was basically the rollout of the program each year during those 5 years. The state gave us additional money to ramp up the program. They extended the program for an additional year, and in year 5 and year 6, The goal was to get the program more or less fully implemented and a sustainable budget in place. So this new grant basically maintains funding for this sustainable budget. In the present 2024 budget, we anticipated this revenue and planned on the expenses, which are basically a continuation of expenses that we were already incurring, with the exception of the positions that we've been unable to fill. We did get an additional $450,000 over the first grant, and this grant is for 3 years. I know that previously that the legislature and the committee has had concerns about the vouchering process. We are up to date on the vouchering process with our team in place of Candace, Heather, and I anticipate that we will stay up to date in the future on vouchering. There is, of course, always some lag time between the end of the quarter to collect all the information and submit it and wait for ILS to review and approve it. But for purposes of cash flow, I hope that we have timely reimbursement for our expenses. And with respect to funding, I know there's been questions about the funding. ILS has not given us any indication that the funding is going to go away. We anticipate ILS is going to continue to fund this program to enhance Article 18B services to the clients of Chautauqua County. So I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Okay, Candace, do you have anything to add to that? Or?
As Derek stated, we are up to date and current on all vouchering. Our claims as of the quarter that ends March 31st. Everything is current, and I have no reason to expect that will change. So the three of us in particular have worked very hard to get everything up to date, and I feel that we now have a very well-defined, streamlined process that we're just going to be able to continue going forward. So.
Candace, you have received payment through December 31st of last year. It's just this first quarter, still a few bills outstanding or whatever, so you can't submit quite yet?
So for one of the HH grants, we have some items. The way that the expense statement from ILS is structured, it includes both the Public Defender's Office and the Assigned Counsel Program.
Oh, okay.
So we have no control over the Assigned Counsel Program's vouchers, receipts, and when those are submitted. So unfortunately, we don't receive our revenue unless and until theirs is submitted as well.
Okay.
So that's one thing that we unfortunately just don't have control over. The other thing is the time frame for ILS. Sometimes the turnaround is very quick, within 30 days. Other times it's a few months. So I did reach out to a counterpart at ILS, and they did say that some counties in New York State have an assigned person who reviews all of their claims, all of their vouchers. Chautauqua County, unfortunately, at this point in time, is not one of those. So it's basically whoever happens to.
Understood.
So there's a couple of things that I'm hopeful will improve moving forward. But as far as our role and our responsibilities, we are absolutely on time.
Okay.
And just to be clear, we've submitted the claim for the, it's the third quarter of the grant ending on 12/31. The voucher has been submitted. It has not been processed by ILS, but we accrued the revenue for 2023.
Okay. Thanks, Derek. Committee questions of Derek or Candace on this resolution? Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next, number 14, proposed resolution, authorize execution of New York State Office of Homeland Security funding, grant explosive detection K-9 team for fiscal year 2021.
Morning, Mr. Nebel.
Good morning, Rich.
Rich Telford, Chautauqua County Undersheriff.
Riley, I'm the fiscal supervisor.
First resolution in front of you is a recurring grant. It is for the state funding year 21. As we're probably all aware, the state typically runs a little behind in these grants. But this particular one is for explosive detection canine team in the amount of $15,000. This has been budgeted in our '24 budget, so no amendment is needed. And typically, we utilize this money for personnel costs, training costs, and then travel and equipment if there's any training outside of the area.
Okay, would you like to add anything to that, or?
No local funds.
You guys have got this down. Rich, you haven't forgotten a thing. Committee questions on this particular resolution?
Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, don't go anywhere, guys. You're here for a while. Okay.
Not as long as Mr. Barone.
Understood.
I say jokingly.
Understood. Number 15, proposed resolution, authorize execution of New York State Office of Homeland Security funding, grant bomb squad initiative for fiscal year 2021.
Again, a recurring grant that we have received for several years. It is the state funding year 21 in the amount of $75,000. This also was included in our 24 budget, so there's no amendment needed. This particular grant we have allocated for all additional or upgrades in equipment for our bomb team.
Okay, committee questions on this one?
Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next one, similar. Number 16, proposed resolution, authorize execution of New York State Office of Homeland Security funding, grant bomb squad initiative for fiscal year 2022.
As I believe it was Yogi Berra, deja vu all over again.
Pretty much.
Basically the same grant as the previous one for our bomb team. This is funding year 2022. Again, in the amount of $75,000. This amount was not included in our 24 budget, so there are some appropriations down below. And it breaks down what we plan on utilizing that money for between personnel cost, benefits, some additional equipment, and some contractuals to total that $75,000.
Okay, committee? All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, last one for you guys. All right, number 17, proposed resolution, authorize agreement with various school districts for school resource officer services for 2024 to 2025.
So these are renewals of our current school resource officer contracts covering July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, basically the upcoming school year. We are not adding or subtracting any schools at this time. So all of the schools listed there are ones that we currently have school resource officers in. We've been able to standardize the cost for each school, and that comes in just over $114,000 per school year. And these were included and planned in our budget for 24, so there's no money shuffling for this. I know shuffling is not the right word, but.
No amendments.
No amendments, there we go.
Although, we'll take shuffling.
Shuffling, okay.
Rich, you mentioned this last night. These school resource officers, these are volunteers. These are people from the department that you contact, and they agree to go out to the schools.
We typically, when we have an opening, we'll post it department-wide to see who's interested. What we have found, whether it's a school resource officer, a training, any special assignment, whether it's our office or human nature, if that person is not interested in that position, they're not going to put their heart and soul into it. So it's one of those balancing acts. Do we want to force somebody into a role they don't like, or is it better to wait and see if we get a volunteer partway through the year? But the ones that we have in the schools have all volunteered for those positions. The feedback I get from the superintendents and the SROs themselves are generally very positive.
Yeah, Bob Scudder would be good for a school resource person.
No.
Dave Wilfong, maybe not so much.
Maybe not so much.
No, so. Okay.
Be a social studies teacher.
Committee, questions on this one?
Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I mentioned this last night, I'll mention it again. Welcome back, Rich, and we wish you well.
It's a lot of people don't look forward to coming to work. I look forward to coming to work.
Before
or
this
up here.
committee.
But I know you were blessed with the sheriff the last couple months, and I know you needed a break, so I took my extra vitamin C and I made it yesterday and today for you.
Well, yeah, that's a blessing seeing him.
But I've been very blessed, and I appreciate all the support, so
Okay.
we're keeping that train going.
We wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we can either take a 5-minute break, or we can finish up with a discussion with Blake from the Department of Finance. Blake, how long are you gonna be?
Oh, we're good. Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
2.5 minutes.
Go.
Yeah, let's go.
Go.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, at this time, we'll have a discussion. This is a submission of the 2024 first quarter ARPA report to the Department of Treasury. This is Blake Eyrig from the Director of Administrative Services with the Department of Finance. Blake, go ahead.
Sure. So yes, this is the ARPA report that I report every quarter to the Department of Treasury. As you see the handouts in front of you, we have about 77 projects now that 38 have been completed or closed as of March 31st, 2024. So that leaves about 39 still open. But really the last page here is the total, what we have total expense throughout, and we're roughly about $19 million of the $24.6 million. So it's remaining about $5.6 million left to be spent down. But we are progressing from quarter to quarter. We spent down about $1.2 million from the year end last year. But of that 5.6 million, 4 million of that is about within 8 projects. So I see us no problem spending down the remaining 5.6. And everything's kind of progressing as planned, and I think we're doing an overall good job as the county.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, I would just add, in further clarification to Blake's confidence, that our requirement is that we have all of the funds committed by the end of this year and all of the funds expended by the end of 2026. So Blake is doing a very good job of following these projects, encouraging them to put these funds to use as quickly as possible, which we certainly appreciate, because we want to see the community benefit from the use of these funds. But I fully agree with his confidence that we will have these funds fully expended before the end of 2026.
Mr. Chairman, that was going to be one of my questions. The money does have to be spent by the end of 2026?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
The funds need to be obligated or committed, like Chairman said, by the end of this year, which really majority of this is already. So just really the later projects are the ones that haven't been yet, but those are kind of small in comparison to the bigger ones up top. So, but yeah, I mean, we're working, I'm kind of constantly on a monthly basis reaching out to each department head and seeing where the status lays with each project. So, like I said, I think we're doing pretty good. Like I said, 1.2 million change quarter to quarter, and I expect that to continue to grow.
Like, if the funds are not spent by the end of 2026, do they revert back to the federal government?
Yes, but I really don't think that's going to be an issue at
Okay.
all. Because really, majority of these projects should be expensed by the end of this year. There's probably some stragglers,
Okay.
but that would be already committed for the remaining. That would be under contract maybe for the next, I guess the remaining of 2026. But yeah, that would, I would not expect many, but there should be maybe a few at the end of this year.
I don't like giving money back to the federal government.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you won't have to worry about that.
Okay. Bob or Dave, questions?
No, nothing good.
Okay. Blake, a very thorough update. Thanks for all the work you're doing on this.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. All right, is there any other business to come before Audit and Control this morning? Not hearing anything, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We're adjourned.